Guy. I know, I get it. There we go. All right, how you doing? Welcome back to the Off the Clock show. You're joined today by your host, Shawn Gervais, and also co-host Marty Hill from Pints and Polishing podcast, as well as hyperClean products, so you can hyper drive your business. So Marty, I forget sometimes, how can they find you?
At hyperClean store on social. That's the best way to interact with us. Any place hyperClean store on social.
And you got a new website that launched too.
Yeah. hypercleanstore.com. Yeah.
Our website's still important in the world.
It's a great question, Shawn. We're gonna test that experience, right? It's an inner dialogue, right? Absolutely right. It's an inner dialogue. It's something that I've talked about before. We've wondered if websites have lost their relativity. You still got to intermix Google's the most powerful search engine. You've got YouTube, that's Google. That's all going to get through to a website. You know, I'm very open to that dialogue, because it's a dialogue that I started years ago, questioning whether or not websites were actually relative anymore, or you could just sell everything off of social. There's no doubt that I grew the company off the back of social with a very basic website. 100%. We're now going to test what it looks like to have the website is the most modern. It's everything up to date with the modern side of the back end, as well as what visually looks like. I mean, it's what a website in 2022 should look like. So 100%. We're excited, man. We're excited about testing that, because if we've got everything else already built, you add that other layer of a really cool website. We're excited to see it.
It's true. Yeah, I did notice a typo though on the website. I did. You listed the new product Revive for I don't know. Maybe it's just that good a deal, but the price just seemed like you made a mistake. I'm joking. The price was too low. It looked good.
Yeah. No. Okay. So I didn't know if you meant, because some people have said, like, if you pull it up, sometimes you see.
Oh no, I was totally joking. I was just saying,
like the way an image appears. Yeah, people have said they've given some feedback like that. That's why I thought you were serious. So
no, not serious. And you know what? Actually, I have a pretty critical eye for these kind of things, because I myself have built over 3,000 websites during my career, and everything from, you name it. Like, I built one for a woman. All she made was veils for like weddings and stuff. To working on big sites, like I worked with Toyota and we did some promos with them and stuff, landing pages, you name it. But so I have a critical eye when it comes to these kind of things. The one thing I loved about your site was the simplicity of it and the consistency of the branding. That was two things that I really liked with it. Tested it on all my devices. Everything worked perfectly, flawless. Me personally, low bias, but I think websites are great. The reason being is not just because I own a marketing agency that also sells sites, but the main reason is it's the cheapest real estate you can buy. Like, it literally... You got to think, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't wait till one day I'm in a shop, or, oh, I'm saving up to buy a new mobile rig. But then they, harp about a website, and it's like, man, do you know how much real estate costs? Like, a commercial building in our city anyways, you're at like, 1 to 3.4 max is kind of like the going rate for something with a nice, 3 or 4 bays, something like that. And then here it is. It's like, you can own this piece of like the web for like, $100 a year, basically. Once it's all set up, your domain and hosting, that's it. Why don't you have one? So I think they're huge. And the biggest thing too is you control the content. I don't see Google going out of business anytime soon, but what if they shift gears and they just say, you know what, the search engine thing, that was fun, but we're actually going to get into like, robotics or something. Like, who knows? Well, they're already in robotics, but let's say they go that route full time, and then they just say, we're shutting down the search. Then what? What do we do? So I think it's important. And the other aspect too is social streams change, right? Like, before TikTok was TikTok, people were using other things and they were pumping all their energy in there. And then, oh shit, now TikTok comes along. So you switch gears, you're constantly pivoting, which you should do as well. But in addition to that, just keep that consistency of your website. You're always sending people there if possible. But, yeah, that's my big belief.
And that's nicely done for a website guy. I mean, that's the way you should feel, right? And that's true. Social does change.
Yeah.
The amount of views that you can get off of social compared to the average person who builds a website, the amount of views they would get off of a website alone.
Yeah.
That's no comparison though.
It's true. 100%.
So that it's the opportunity, I think, of both. That you're absolutely right. I'm glad you asked that question, because I've been a proponent of a one-sided theory. So we're going to test that theory. I went ahead and
but
I put down, right? Okay, let's test it, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to see it. Excited to see the results. We're
100%. Where you're going to see the biggest results, I think, is going to be from the returning customers, because you'll be more in control of that funnel versus the new customers. New acquisition, social, in my opinion, will always trump your actual website. You know, like whether you're handing out postcards, just the amount of effort is going to be so much more than doing it online. But if you can get people, let's say you go to a trade show, instead of sending them to your Facebook page that's full of distractions, send them to your website instead, where they're lasered in on just whatever you're selling. So that's where, you know.
And I'm excited too to test the theory of, you know, the new app. So we've changed our app. We were you could pretty much say we were the first chemical company to have an app that was selling across the technology that way, right? I mean, you still have brands that really haven't even invested into an app. I had somebody who's a sales rep for a coding company that called me and said, really, how much did you spend on that? We're getting quotes of like $50,000, $100,000. We're not sure if we want to do it or not. Like,
yeah,
there's companies that still haven't invested the money into an app. They haven't figured out the amount of people that use app-based technology on their phones versus going to a website, you know. So we 100%. Also got that, and our app mirrors our website. The app is super clean.
Hugely important, especially in this kind of scenario. Like I have, you know, multiple companies. Some of them we have an app, some of them we don't. And I think that's another key thing, is that you have to know everything has its own application, in terms of like, you may not need certain things for your business depending on what you're doing. So if you're a detailer, I see guys out there all the time who wants an app for their detailing business. And I'm like, guys, don't waste your time. If you have an app like OrbisX, that's different, because you're using it daily to manage your business and to grow your business. But your customer realistically isn't going to download your app. And I mean, Google even does this thing where if you haven't opened an app in like 3 months or something like that, then your Android device will tell you, you know, we're removing permissions that you granted to this app because you haven't used it in so long. Like that's what they're doing now. So realistically, is your customer going to be opening your app like every week kind of thing? They're just not, you know, like it's, or it would be rare. You'd have to find a use case for that, like a loyalty program or something. But then once again, that's built into OrbisX, obviously. So you're good to go there.
So it's different, right? It's an interesting dynamic between
in your case, it makes sense though.
Yeah, services to products, right? You know,
huge difference. Yeah,
a select clientele base versus the entire country.
Yeah, exactly. It's hugely different. And like me,
we got to be the first, which is still, amazing. I just think it's super fun, right? Again, you know, I was just this guy, you know, just this guy from Oklahoma.
It's just a random guy that boom, you know, like it's amazing, man. Congrats, man. Like that's
thanks.
And I agree too. Super slick. If I can do some wordplay there with one of your photos. Nice. But awesome. So listen, what are we drinking today?
All right. I'm going back to my mixture theory because I've found a new style of water I like. Ooh. If Costco's up there, you don't have Sam's Club?
No, I don't have Sam's Club, no.
Yeah. So this is a Sam's brand of water.
Okay.
Nice. I don't know. I got into those, like these type of waters. I don't know what, 3 or 4 years ago. I can't get off. Like I know. I'm always on. I just find a new brand, a new one to test, new one to try. I don't know.
I do the same thing.
It makes drinking water fun again. I don't know.
Exactly. I'm on a pineapple one right now. It's like a yellow can, and oh man, it's delicious. I think it's bubbly or bubbly or something. I don't know.
Yeah, bubbly.
Yeah,
like
that
bubbly.
one. Yeah. It's decent, you know.
Yeah, but we get bubbly a lot, and they've got a lot of creative flavors, which is nice.
Yeah, the strawberry one's good, pomegranate, you name it.
All right, so this is watermelon citrus mixed with some Captain.
Nice.
And that's a fair, that's a fair mixture.
Good mix.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
You can do that.
Nice. Yeah. Perfect. And then me, I was a little late grabbing mine today, so I'm drinking a new bottle that I bought. I don't usually drink Appleton, but obviously not drinking the whole thing today. So this one's a signature blend. But just before the call, I mentioned I had a funny story about it. So I had to go buy a bottle of rum, and I sometimes I like Appleton, but I picked up this bottle because it came with a little bottle attached. You know, sometimes they do that. They put the little bottle. Great marketing tactic.
Little jigger, is that what they call them?
I think so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they had this little thing there, and it's a new blend that they're coming out with that's not launched yet in Canada, but they're trying to get people excited about it, whatever. So I bought it because I wanted to try that one. Very excited. Got home. I made some banana bread last night. So when I was doing some cooking stuff, it's kind of how I unwind at the end of the day. I said, "Oh yeah, I got that little bottle there." So I pulled it out, put it on the counter, opened it up, and I was just gonna let it breathe for a minute, turn around, I'm doing some stuff by the stove, and then I went back. I turn around and I hit the little bottle. Spilled all over the counter. The worst. There was a tiny little bit left in the bottom. So I was like, I can't even put ice in this and enjoy it because it wasn't enough. So I just basically did this like quarter of a shot and kind of got a little taste. So now I have to go back to the liquor store, buy another massive bottle of rum just to get this tiny little one to see what it's like. But anyway, just brutal. Like, what are the odds of that? It's such just my luck.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but it's okay. But I haven't had Appleton in well over a year, and definitely during the pandemic. But but this one, the signature blend, yeah,
smooth.
It's delicious. Yeah, it's really good. And the weather's warming up here. It's almost 12 degrees Fahrenheit. I have no clue what that is. But are you good with the conversions back and forth?
No, I still don't. Yeah, my wife still pulls up Celsius, and I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I usually just yell at one of the boxes. We've got the Alexa and all that stuff, and I just say like, tell me what this is. It's definitely cold still, but it's not too bad. I mean, yeah, it's for us. It's nice. We got flowers and stuff coming, so
yeah, we're in that mixed, through the Midwest and parts of the way the front system goes up. From, it comes down from Colorado, kind of up Texas, and then shoots northeast towards you guys, towards Chicago, and heads up that way. That's the way the stream goes. And through that little stream right now, we're in that, it's 40 degrees one day, it's 65 the next, we're rain for 2 days at 50 degrees. And then this weekend, it was 75 degrees. It's supposed to be 80 in a couple of days. We're doing that whole roller coaster fun time.
Shorts in the morning and then sweater and coat in the afternoon.
The other way around.
Oh, the other way. Oh,
yeah. Like I'm about to lose the hoodie. Yeah, it's starting to warm up. But yeah.
Jeez, well, that's good though.
Oh yeah. Too. Yeah. I love it. We got grass growing again, so that's fun.
I kind of like the change of seasons though. Like I didn't used to. I'm starting to love it. My wife helped me realize the beauty in it. Because before I was like, oh, I can't take this. Like we just need hot weather all the time. And then when we were living on the equator, where it was literally like the same every day. That movie Groundhog Day, where it's like every day is the same. I felt like I was living in that. Like it was just, I don't know. I missed the change. Seeing the leaves change here. That's a big deal. They turn orange and red and all kinds of stuff.
I've always wondered because I have a buddy that's what he spent about 4 or 5 years over in California and moved back.
Okay, yeah.
And that's what he said. He was like, man, I actually missed the volatile, the change of seasons, the up and down. He's just like, I missed it. I was like, how the hell you miss it? Like fucking 75, 80 degrees every goddamn day there. How do you come back to this shithole? Like, I don't get it.
Like people don't come here. They leave from here.
Yeah. Like, what the hell?
I know, yeah, and it's but it's one of those things. Yeah, it's nice to like. Granted, we spend more time indoors in the winter, but there's stuff to do in the house, and then whatever.
Plenty of stuff to do in the house.
Yeah, plenty of stuff. Yeah, bottle of Appleton. See what happens. Kids are at school.
Got the door locked. It doesn't matter if the kids are home. Whatever.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. Exactly. You just put the cowboy hat on the door. Then they know. Like the movie Meet the Fockers there or whatever, the one of them. Oh man. So okay, you see any funny posts recently? And I saw some for sure.
Post. Okay, so it's interesting because we got a lot of respect for a guy named David Fermani. He has been on our podcast and we've had multiple discussions. We both share a view, which I've been pretty open about too. Pretty dominant as we launched our brand, pretty dominant about, seeing where the industry was going to be, making predictions on where we would end up, how corrections would fall away, how multi-level coatings would fall away. There'd be a streamline of the industry. And sure enough, we started then talking about how you could coat a car without correcting it. And that was a fucking people the amount of shit I got for those comments and for what I said. So kudos to you, for Monty. You know, he went into Detailing for Money group and put in a post, and, you know, it kind of went semi-viral in a sense. And, you know, he's got TikTokers making posts about him. He's got, you know, Instagram people, and it's like awesome for Monty. Pump, man. Like, that's part of it's part of being countercultural in a sense. It's part of being where people will send us DMs and be like, we love how you're against the stream. And it's like, well, if the stream's going the wrong way, the fish are swimming the wrong way, like I'm not going to keep going, right? The best way to go is this way. You know, this is the best way. How do you know that? Well, you've been doing it for 20 years. Like, you kind of know things when you're actually clean cars and, you know, just work for a company. So, you know, I'm pumped for Monty taking some shit. He's going to be on some other podcasts talking about that post and that, and like, way to go, David. You know, so
were most people pretty like, you know, on board with it, or was there some like clapback?
No, these were people that made like and that's what's crazy is these people took time out of their day, out of their business, to not only go onto that post and look and comment, but then it was such an irritating thing for them that they needed to then make videos about it themselves and make posts on their own page, trashing another detailer for giving the customer what the customer wanted. That's the point, right? Like, that's why I've always been so adamant about this. It became so clear to me when we joined in with a multi-level brand that made us do full corrections. It made it so clear to me when I had customers come up that that's not what they needed. They couldn't see it. They didn't understand it. It didn't make sense for them. So we went very quickly into one steps, into talking to people about, you know, hey, what do you see in your paint? What do we need to do to make it better for you? You tell us what you need. Right. Yeah. And Shawn,
you know what?
Like
I've been a huge proponent of that.
That's basic customer fucking service.
It really is.
And these other brands have completely ran the other direction. Most of the industry chased that, and nobody went with what customer base first. They went in a completely different direction, and we just get to constantly, like we said last week, you know, when you get to have that stake in the ground, you get to celebrate it. You know, you get to be glad that you know what the fuck you're talking about. And there's other people that are now getting assaulted for it. That's why I'm like, you know, David, that's awesome. David, like I said, we've been open about it. He was on our podcast. We talked about it. Like, we share the same views, and I'm just glad to,
that's amazing though.
About it, because it just proves that there's a massive flow of the industry that has been in the wrong way, but correcting without coding, you can do it. HyperClean Uno Dos and Tray, fucking make sure the paint is clean, deconned. You don't have to correct the car. The customer doesn't want it, don't do it. You know, it's
100%.
Customer base first. That's 100%. What it is.
You know, I same thing when I put out my ebook. I got a lot of shit from some people that they felt the same thing. Like, I was talking about how we sped up our details and how we brought it down. Like, we knew nothing about detailing. We started and we were just doing whatever. The first couple of cars took forever. Like, I'm talking like whole day in a shop. It should not take a whole day in a shop. And we whittled that down and got down to just over an hour, like an hour and 6 minutes. And people were like, oh, your cars are leaving dirty. There's no way you can clean this and that and stuff. And I'm like, listen, I'm not seeing the fucking cars leave here ready to go be put into a magazine. You know what I mean? Like, they're exceptionally clean for that customer. 100%. We ask them what they want to focus on, and that's where we go to work. To me, it's the equivalent of, you go to a restaurant, the waiter or whatever, is you going to take doctor advice from them? No, he's not a fucking PhD. So if you sit down and you're like, yeah, I'd like to order this. And then he's like, well, actually, you know, I got to start you off with a salad, Marty, because, you know, it's better for your body. Like, what the fuck? I don't want a fucking salad right now. You know, like, I'm here for the steak, the potatoes, the vegetables, you know, that's it. Like, so to me, it's just simple
speaking
common
of steak,
sense, man.
Speaking of steak, man. I had for my birthday night the other night. She bought picanha.
Okay.
Picanha. The Brazilian steak.
Happy birthday, by the way. Yeah. And happy birthday, by the way. Yeah.
It's fucking 44, man. It is what it like. She's like, what do you want to do? I was like, eat some cake and have some steak. Like, I don't know, like go have some lunch. You know, I don't know. I mean,
and then put the kids.
They're big into parties, right? They're big into massive parties now. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Just like, let's have some food. And, you know, let me play Fortnite. Don't be yelling at me for playing Fortnite. How about that? You know,
let's
eat some steak, get drunk. You know, why not?
Exactly.
But have you had picanha, right?
No, I haven't. Well, okay, not in entirety. We did go to this. There's a restaurant. Actually, I don't know if it's still open, but Ecuador, like Brazil,
Texas de Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah, and they come and they like.
It's similar, but listen, if you can find it, I don't know. I gotta Google what the fuck cut that is, because there's no way that's just Brazilian cow, right? Like, it's no way, unicorn. Right? It's not unicorns. Like it's, huh?
It's unicorns.
I don't know. Like, it's got to be a certain. I don't know. You only hear about it being a Brazilian steak, right? But you can find it in some butcher shops. You can find it in some butcher shops. And that's where we found it in a local butcher shop here. And it was like, oh yeah. Like, and I tried it, man. It was the best steak I've ever had. It really was. It was unbelievable. I just go, how? It can't just be a Brazilian cow, right? Like, it can't be a cow. Like, it's got to be a certain,
the same as other cows. Yeah. Like, I mean,
it's got to be a certain cut, I would think. But then why don't butchers cut that? Like, why do they cut these other cuts instead of this cut? Because this was pretty amazing. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's got to be the aging process or something. Because there's a restaurant near here. It's called Sterling. It's where like all the government workers go, like the higher ups, like, you know, people, Supreme Court judges, you know, the prime minister eats there. Really, really expensive, but fucking worth it, man. And they bring you this big like ice tray. Literally, they're holding it with two hands, and it's just full of ice. And then they've got different cuts on there, and you choose the one you want, and then they go, and that's the one they cook for you. But they age it on site. And the reason it's called Sterling is because there's, like, we all know, you know, like, oh, grade A beef, and then there's, you know, the double A's and all that stuff. So Sterling is like the top of the aged steaks, and they age it on site. So when you walk in first, it looks like it's a butcher shop when you first walk in, and it's just, that's where they're aging everything on site. It's amazing. But we got a gift card there for when we got married, and that was our first time there. Oh my God, incredible. So it might have even been, maybe that's the North American equivalent of that cut, but they just didn't tell us what it was. You know, they just showed me like a big rack of meat, and I was like, that one. You know, but man, that's amazing though. Damn. So
if you can find it,
look for this here.
Yeah. If you can find it, try it. Cause it's weird. It has a whole back cap of fat on it.
Okay.
So I got it right. Like she's like, you like it? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, this weekend? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, but hold on. Like, I might need to go back to my doctor and get on some cholesterol medicine, because like that's why it's so good, right? Like, it's got this giant cap of fat on it, but there wasn't a massive amount of marble. So but it was super tender. So I don't know. It's interesting, man. If you find it, try it.
That's wild. Okay, I gotta get that. Yeah, and my wife loves steak, so that would be perfect.
Well, and if you watch videos, which is what I had to do, I had to watch videos on YouTube on how to cook picanha. Like, they actually they take this real coarse salt. I mean, and the whole thing is covered in salt. Like, not, I don't mean like you shake some salt on it like we do as Americans. Like you dip it in salt. Like, it's, I was like, how in the world? Okay, whatever. Like, let's go. And then after you cook it, you shake it, you bank all, and, you know, bang it all and get all the salt off. And then there's just that hint of salty flavor to it with this super fatty steak. So good.
Oh man. Okay. When we're done this podcast, I'm calling the butcher. Like, that's
you do. You got to call the butcher and be like, how do I get some picanha?
Yeah. By next Tuesday, I want to have, you know, had the same kind of experience there. Damn,
unbelievable.
Fuck. Okay, so I'll have to YouTube it too.
But it came in like this huge. It didn't come in like a steak that we were used to seeing. Okay, I don't know. It came in like, it looked more like the way we bought it. It looked more like if you ever gotten like a brisket.
Okay, yeah.
You ever bought like a brisket from Costco?
Not from Costco, but there's a place nearby. I get bison steak though. But
okay, I haven't seen the way bison steak. I'm just saying it looked like a brisket or a. It literally looked a lot also like a pork butt, which is like a shoulder of the pig, and that's what they make pulled pork out of. Just because it had that huge cap of fat on the top. I don't ever see that on steak, and other than this pecan. So I don't know.
Jeez, man, that is amazing.
Oh, that's good. You gotta get it. God. You gotta get it. You gotta get it. All right. Any cool posts? What have you seen?
So, oh man, I saw a post that. I saw a post about a guy. Said he's having like the shittiest week ever. He had 3 no-shows, so that was sad. I felt my heart went out for him, but at the same time, I felt a little pain for him for about 5 seconds, and then after that, I was like, well, wait a minute though, like, what did you do to prevent that from happening? And so that's where, but it is sad when I see that kind of stuff, because, people, they work hard to get these leads and go through the funnels like we mentioned, but I think that's where there's a disconnect in their funnels. So I can't remember who was watching, but hey, if you end up seeing this video or hear this podcast, definitely go back and check the funnels out that Marty and I and Greg talked about.
But that's, what do you recommend on no-shows? Because you're right. I think that there'll be a continuous massive amount of no-shows under certain price points and under certain places that, whether it's gas prices, whether it's, maybe it's their industry's got a lot of problems. We put out an episode yesterday where I talked about, I've got a friend that's from Zimbabwe. We meet once a year. Her birthday's on April 1st. Mine's on April 2nd. We have lunch. It's been like 20 years we've been friends. And that's the only time we see each other, right? She's in healthcare and she's done her job of coming into America 20 something years ago for school, and then risen through the ranks of hospital care. Right. She works in the lab for a hospital. And she manages all these sites around the area of where people go in and get their blood drawn so that they can get tested. They're having to shut down, close sites all over the city because they can't find people to work. Nobody will work.
Shit. That's crazy.
So
how come there's...
here's the reason why to bring that up, right? Like this is the reason why is, as detailers running the business, you should have an idea of where your customers, like what industry they're in, what are they doing. But here's the thing is, you never know what some other industry, how it's going to affect your business, right?
That's true.
These no-shows could be because they just don't have the money.
Yeah.
Right.
It's true.
We've been used to over the years having these bigger ticket prices. We get it. 100%. That's the way the economy was, right? But maybe the no-shows happen because people are starting to look at their budget and go,
can't really do that.
Can't do that. I'm out.
Yeah, it's true. And that's where I think a lot of these guys too, I don't think even know their percentage, like their ratio of no-shows, right? And that's where, like, one thing I coded into OrbisX was it tracks your no-shows and cancellations, shows you the percentage. So okay, we have on average, 10% no-shows. And so you can overbook jobs to prevent that kind of stuff.
All right. So break that down. What does overbooking mean? Because that's interesting. I like that. I like that
absolutely,
a lot.
Yeah, we do it a lot. So if we know that we can handle, let's say, 25 jobs, we'll book 27 jobs, knowing that 2 people likely won't show up. And there's just no avoiding it. We have really good processes in place where, we follow up by phone. We ask a pertinent question, which I think every detailer out there listening should ask. Is there any reason why you can't make it tomorrow? That should be your call the day before. And that's what you should be asking them. Hey, just want to confirm, I have you booked in for 10 a.m. tomorrow. Is there any reason why you couldn't make it? Does
OrbisX do anything, or is that in
we do have that as an automatic follow-up for them, and it goes out the night before. And then we also have a 3-hour one that goes out before their appointment as well. And then that way it follows up with them and it asks those questions. But I still have Joe call as well. And he'll say like, hey, we just sent you an email. It might have landed in your spam box. I don't know. Because a lot of guys, they rely on, an email went out, or I sent a text,
What? Okay, there you go. That's what I was going to say. What about text? I get texts from like my dentist, or I still listen.
Absolutely.
I'm close. I feel like I'm close working through my stenosis, but
Okay. Yeah.
I still go every week to go see my therapist because I'm not there yet. So
Okay. Yeah.
I get a message from them via email, via text, and I've been doing this for 2 years. I don't miss,
Jeez.
but they don't miss either of making sure that I know that that's my appointment, right? Like there's got to be detailers that see that in other parts of their life, and other companies keep telling
100%. And I hear a lot of people, they say, well, I don't want to follow up too much on the client.
You have to.
You have to.
Everybody else is.
Why are they going to be upset? It's not like you're showing up at their house, knocking on their door, waking them up at 6 a.m. You're sending them a message on their phone. If they got interrupted by the message, they were already on their phone doing some shit. So it's not like you really interrupted their day. You know?
If I want the service, I want the communication.
100%.
Right? I go to my therapist. I want to be there. I want them to tell me I'm going to be there.
Exactly.
I want that.
And that's where I truly feel that no-shows are the result of lack of communication and the customer not truly wanting your service. And that comes down most of the time to your sales. And are you able to express the value to them? If you're providing a solution, solving a problem for them, why wouldn't they want you to follow up and say, hey, just want to make sure you're still coming in? Because listen, we're booked up for another month and a half. So if you miss this one, I'm not seeing you for a while. So don't miss this shit.
All right. So here's a different perspective. I use a bug service to come in and treat my house for bugs. Right.
All right. Yeah.
I could go to Lowe's or Home Depot, or I could go I could do it myself.
Sure.
Just as somebody could go wash their car for themselves. Right.
100%. And they do often.
Often. Right. I could do that for myself, but I found the value in finding a service that came and treated my house for bugs.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing as a customer that I don't like about what they do is they push me so hard for review. And I gave them a review after their first treatment, but they still always hit me. So there's some type of disconnect, which makes me go, all right, you're a little pushy on that. But I love the communication 2 weeks before my appointment, a day before my appointment. They're sending me every form of communication that I put into them, email, phone. I'm the one that sent them my information. So they are doing their job to communicate to me as a customer.
Exactly. Yeah.
As a customer, I love the communication. There's times that they say, here's your appointment, here's your time. And I go, this doesn't work. And I send it back to them.
It gets adjusted, and then
it gets adjusted, and they send me confirmation. Even though I've approved it, they still tell me the day before and then the day out. They over communicate up to that appointment because they know how valuable it is for me as a customer, as well as how valuable for their business, that they don't need this guy coming up and going, I can't get in. It's an empty appointment. They lost money. They lost time. They paid somebody. They lost. So they over communicate so that they don't lose. You have to over communicate so you don't lose.
And you know what? I tell you what, we have people all the time tell us, it's not a huge number, but it happens several times, at least a month. People will say, listen, you guys are, reaching out to me too much. And it's just a simple conversation back and forth. And we say, listen, I understand it may feel like it's too much, but we just really know how important this is to you, and we don't want you to miss it.
Okay, but how many is that out of the thousands, right? It's a very, very small.
Maybe 4 or 5 people a month. And
it's sort of like the people that are multi-level corrections and codings versus the rest of the industry, right? The rest of the industry wants everything else, and there's this small, very select few, right? So go after the mass.
Absolutely, because here's the thing: if a guy gets upset about that, he's not the kind of customer we want, anyways, because he probably wasn't going to show up. And the fact that we keep reminding him, it's like guilt that he's feeling, and so instead he's like, "Oh, stop, reaching out to me too much." But really, it's because he's like, listen, I already was going to just dodge you guys and not show up. So, most people, the majority, at least 95%, are appreciative and express that to us. And on the review side of things, that's where we had that same issue too. So I coded in the system, you can actually disable that. Like after someone leaves a review, they don't keep getting the, please leave us a review. Please. It gets annoying, right? And I'm like you, I'm big on maintenance details and getting people back in. So once they're back in, if they've already left us a review, we don't want to hound them for that, right? But We'll hound them for other things like referrals, sure, but not reviews.
Yeah, well, not reviews, but listen, it's an open book on hounding them for an appointment.
Oh,
you as a
100%.
detailer should never lose an appointment. You never should lose an appointment.
Absolutely.
Stop accepting losing appointments. Stop accepting the no-shows. You've got to start taking a look at it's not them.
Mm-hmm. It's not.
Because it's not. It's not.
It's not.
The more you blame somebody else, the more you will lose.
You're just going to keep having no-shows.
It's not your customer's fault. The more you blame them, the more you will lose. You have to start blaming your own self. Take responsibility as an owner that somebody did not want to use your service. Look at it. Test it. Go down to the purification of what you should really be doing to meet your customers' needs. It's not their fault. It's your fault.
100%. And that's where things like overbooking, over communicating.
Absolutely.
And through multiple channels, just like how we were talking about, you need a website plus Facebook plus TikTok. It's the same thing. You got to reach out by text message and emails and phone. I hear so many people that say, well, I just want to send text. I don't want to do emails as well. You better get that damn email address. 100%. Yeah, 100%.
I won't deny that was me. I was one of the very early people that sent out text. I got into texting very early because I hate emails.
Okay, yeah.
Hate emails.
Are crucial.
How many emails do you have your email app on your phone? Yeah. How many missed emails do you have?
Just since we started the podcast? Because
I mean, what shows up on your phone?
Oh, let me see here. Notifications.
I'll go ahead and tell you mine. 10,173. I hate email.
Yeah. So mine's significantly less, but that's also because that's what I do, right?
But you have to, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that aren't like me, and that's what everybody keeps telling me.
It's true.
Everybody's like you, and I go, okay, I finally get. Okay, I get it. So I mean, we send out emails too now, but we didn't used to, right? Like, I mean,
emails are so cheap though too. Like it just makes sense. In most cases, they're free, and it's just a little bit of time. But I do get it. There are some people that, like me, I don't do the text thing. I'll do WhatsApp, here and there, but select lists. But I don't really do the text thing. I do more emails. But that's the nature of my work. But I do know there's a lot of people that are kind of one way or the other way. But the whole thing is get both and then just send out both. And so what? If you never read the email, it doesn't matter. I don't want to take the chance that, for someone else that would have read the email, it's better if you get it, I think. And that's where, and it's easy too. What we tell customers is, look, if we could also get your email address, because that's where we send receipts for payments and things like that for tax purposes. So you can actually claim this in most cases. And boom.
There's so many people that just love, and you should respect it. They love to put their emails into a filing system.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's millions and millions of people that love email. Don't punt email. I punted email. Yeah. It was a mistake. Don't punt email. Right. Still send out emails. You should.
Yeah, exactly. And both though. Text messages too. Huge. But once again, everything has its place, right? So like emails are great for longer messages, things like that. You can do a lot of stuff with them too, like tracking opens and so on and so forth. But text message is good for like instant notifications. If it's just like we have a system in OrbisX where you can let them know that you've arrived, for example. You can let them know you're on your way, and it'll say, like, oh, Marty's 26, miles away, and it'll actually send them that. Those are great for instant communication.
100%. They should use that. Yeah. I'm telling you, me as a customer for this bug company, the more they communicate with me up to that point, because I'm waiting on them, it's much better. So overuse the OrbisX texting. 100%. Let people know that you're 24 hours away. You're 3 hours away. I'm leaving. I'm here. Well, here's what we started. Here's where we're finishing. 100%. They will hit the STOP buttons and return when they don't want you to over communicate. But most people using a service-based business will want you to over communicate to them.
100%. 100%. That's where just use it. And that's where I like what you said about taking responsibility for this, because it is your responsibility. Like, and if you're the one that's upset about the no-show and you want people to show up, you should do everything in your power to make that happen. And that's where the overbooking. So jumping back to that real quick, I realize it's not possible for some people scenarios. If you're a one-man, show, you can't necessarily, if you can only handle, let's say 4 jobs in a day, you can't just book 6 banking on someone not showing up. But what you could do, and you should do, is put yourself in a position to have like a spare employee, like a casual worker that could be available if all your appointments do confirm. But that's where you can plan for that by calling them the day before, by sending them a text and an email and saying, hey, listen, your appointment's coming up in 24 hours. Is there any reason you can't make, or is there any reason this can't happen? And they'll tell you, they'll be like, oh, well, I might not be able to because I actually have to pick up my kids at, 3:00. Okay, well, listen, let's reschedule you for a different day. You just saved yourself a no-show, reschedule for a different time. And because you overbooked, now you still have your 4 appointments in the day. Problem solved. If the guy says, yeah, I'm on board, you call your casual worker and you say, hey, listen, I need you tomorrow between this time and this time. And if you find yourself 4 or 5 people, Marty, I'm sure all of us, if we thought about it, we could find, 1 or 2 people, that could use some extra cash here and there. They don't want to be a detailer, but hey, if I could get an extra, $100 for the day or something, help you out with something, whatever, I'm there. We all know someone that's like that. And so build up your network of casual workers, which brings me to another point, is that someone reached out and they said they're having some difficulty with hiring. So they're in a very specific situation where they're gone from their business for, a couple months of the year. Then they come back and they're full force. They've tried, working with people and saying, listen, while I'm gone, you run the show, you'll get a split, a little percentage, things like that. The people they were doing that with didn't feel the split was fair enough. So they ended up, it just didn't work out.
All right. A little slower one more time. So I get that. All right. So you've got somebody that owns a shop?
Mobile. So they do mobile right now. Yeah.
Do they own the truck that is being used for mobile? Good
question. No, because they're doing everything out of their personal vehicle right now. So they were getting the other person to do the same. So they were gone multiple times a day, multiple times a week, multiple times a month. Yes. And somebody was having to use their own vehicle to drive, basically to run the business.
The business. Immediate red flag. Red flag. This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and he should not be in business.
Yeah, because if you can't be there to run the business,
you got to have a vehicle for the people to use. Yeah, and
that's the thing is if you have the full
or
setup,
you got to pay them a massive amount of mileage beyond what it used to be 32 cents a mile here in the States. It's probably at 50 cents. I imagine with the gas prices now, it's probably creeping up to almost $1 a mile.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to compensate them for these hundreds of, if not thousands of miles that they're putting on their own vehicle to drive around to clean your customer's car. Immediate red flag. That makes no sense. A very bad business move. It's set up to fail ultimately because you made a very, very simple mistake that you think that owning a business means that somebody else can operate it and you can walk away. That doesn't happen. This isn't residual income that the multi-level did you ever get into multi-level marketing where they tell you you can have passive income and never do a thing? I mean, that sounds amazing. And, there are some people that can do it. Listen, I jumped into it years ago as a young kid because it sounded fascinating. Cool. Like I jumped in early. I was early into a website
that went into this thing called ACN. I don't know if you knew that one. They resold hydro and electricity and stuff.
Oh, there's everything. Yeah, there was that came around where you could sell people their electric stuff, right?
Yeah,
I got into one that you could sell cell phone service, and it was backed onto the service of T-Mobile, right? That was fun. I took that and ran with it, and it was super cool because in the middle of my divorce, I could keep growing this other side that nobody knew about, and then I invested in the cell phone stores and I did all this other stuff. and showed a bunch of stuff of loss. And so when I sat inside a courtroom, I show a loss. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, what do you say? So anyway, like, that's true. It was super fun. I got to sit there and go, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot of fun. Divorce sucked, right? It was fucking sucked. So
you
gotta fight back, right? Like, you gotta fight back. And I fight back with saying, fuck you. I know how to outwit you, motherfucking lawyer. It was awesome. All right. Anyway, I chased a rabbit there.
Yeah, no worries. Let it out. That's what the off the clock show's for. Oh man.
But I mean, come on, you can't be doing the same thing over and over, right? Like,
100%. And that's where I think, so my advice in this case was, you have to take a very, very small percentage, because in business, you have to look at, if you're not able to play an active role in it, you're technically just an investor at that point. But you have to look at what the assets of the company are. And so, as you mentioned, like, if there's no rig that's being used, like there's no van with a full setup and stuff. So like, really, like, what are you bringing to the table? It can't just be the brand, because in detailing, like, the guy that you're going to partner up with or hire or whatever, he could just go start his own brand tomorrow. Like, it's not an expensive process. And so, like, there has to be something that you would be offering. Like, if you're a franchise, for example, you're offering the head office marketing and advertising, the experience, plus all the legal shit, but you're handling a lot of the stuff for the franchisee. And so that's why they buy into that system. Someone coming in here, if they're only taking, I think he mentioned the split was like 60-40. And so if they're coming in and they're getting 60%.
Okay, the guy was at the worker was at 60?
Exactly, yeah. And then and so if they're at 60, but they're the one incurring all the expenses during that time, just bringing in the customers isn't enough. Because customers, I know a lot of people struggle getting customers, but customers really aren't hard to find, because there's fucking cars everywhere. They're just literally everywhere.
I like the idea you wanted to go 60-40 at least, right?
Yeah, that's true. It wasn't like
we've had discussions for years. We've talked for a while, you and I, on different episodes that you and I did before, right? Like, it's impressive that they at least went 60-40.
That's true, because a lot of people would have tried the other. They
would have. Here's $10 an hour, motherfucker. Right? Like, there's a lot of detailers that do that. They're like, here's $10 an hour. So that is impressive. I mean, I'll give him a good golf.
That's true. Hats off to that. 100%. Yeah. And to be honest, his business is doing well, but he's just a one-man show right now. So he's doing well for himself. He's created more of a job than he has like a business per se. Right? Technically, it has a business name, but.
So let's boil it down a little bit more. All right. So he leaves for how much of the year?
6 months. Now, his case.
That's why I was boiling it back down. We stopped with the, like, he did it for, he wasn't just gone for a couple hours of the day.
No, we're talking 6 months.
He wasn't just gone for a week. No. He wasn't just gone for goddamn a month. Who could ever walk away from their business for a month?
Yeah, I couldn't.
So this guy's walking away for 6 months out of the year, half of the year.
Yeah.
Whew.
You'd have to. So my advice to make that scenario work, because he has no choice but to disappear for 6 months. He's active in the military, so he gets deployed. He goes somewhere 6 months, then he returns home. So, and by the way, thank you for your service. But it is difficult to run a business under that
Canadian
scenario.
Service or
no, American? But that's okay. I still thank you guys. You guys keep us safe from the bad guys.
Agreed.
Our military is a joke. Yeah, community things. But I think that the only way to make something like this work in this scenario, and this was kind of my advice to him, we were talking through chat, and I was like, look, you either have to find someone that can take over your business and you just kind of help out with some of the business processes or whatever when you are around, and you take a very small portion, like I'm talking like 5%, 10% max. But then when you are there, you're putting in more work, and then your percentage goes up because you're kind of just a commissioned employee at that point. But the way I think to make this work would be, if you want to own the business, like I own, my shop, for example, but I'm not at the shop. right? So what I've done is I've partnered with people that can run the shop, that wanted to run a shop, didn't have the capital to start the shop or anything like that, but had the knowledge and expertise, wanted to get things done, but didn't want to handle, the advertising, the tech side. They didn't want to handle, even customer communication. So they just wanted to run the shop. So that was perfect. Now we got lucky. We found someone that's great. Like Paul's amazing, but not everyone could necessarily find a Paul round one. Neither did I. We went through some duds first. Trust me. One guy stole $15,000. He was putting razor blades in the garbage bags. I cut my leg open. It was a mess. We went through some real pendejos, if I can jump into Spanish for a second. But then now we finally found them. So I said, look, it's not going to be an easy transition. You're going to go through some cost, some time. You're going to have to invest in that side of the business to find someone to do that with. And I said, partner with someone that maybe isn't a detailer, someone that's maybe running a tint shop, and you're coming in to add another source of revenue for his business. So it'll make sense. You guys partner up in a way, and then you find some people to work that he can help manage a bit. So you 6 months of the year are managing those people and he does nothing, but still gets a cut. Then when you're gone, he's managing those people for 6 months and you get your cut. So it's kind of a balance. So I think that would be the way that I would go. I can't see any other real options that could work. I mean, you're gone for 6 fucking months. It's a long time. It's a long time.
You gotta have another partner. Yeah, absolutely. If 100%. If it's not the guy that's running around with his own vehicle, goddamn, he should be your first option. He's running around 100%. His own goddamn vehicle, taking 60%, but everything that he's doing
with that guy is you tell that guy, listen, you're going to take 95% during the 6 months I'm gone. 5% is going to be retained for, operating, whatever. And then when I'm back, it's a 50-50 split. So you basically bought yourself a job when you're not deployed.
Yeah, there's a lot of options that guy should look into. But let's take that scenario and put it over to everybody else that's going, what the fuck? Like 6 months, they're gone 6 months. I can't take a fucking day off.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So let's put it into their situation, right?
Like, sure. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people out there, one-man shows that they're busy.
Well, okay. Not even one-man shows. Like they might be a one man with plus one, right?
Sure.
So them and one other, right? Them and two others. Like either way, how does somebody be able to, I mean, they might be looking at this and going, I would never step away that long. Or they might go, okay, how can I step away? How can I take a week off? How can I take a day off?
So it's a great question. And you know what? So here's the thing. So I take quite a bit of time off from, running our businesses compared to a lot of other business owners I know. So we travel several times a year. It's difficult, but here's the thing. It all comes down to preparation. So the businesses that I have identified would need personnel there to manage things. I'm not talking my staff. My staff are great, but they can't run the business themselves. That's why we have management, period. So I've partnered with people to help in those scenarios. Some of my other businesses, OrbisX, for example, it just takes some preparation. And this is where you could do the same with your business, is that really you're in control of your schedule. So what it means for me at OrbisX and could mean for you at your detailing business is the weeks leading up to me disappearing, I work extra hard. And my family knows. And I say, listen, guys, it's going to be 16-hour days for the next 2 weeks. But then you've got me for 7 days, no phone, no email, no nothing. You've got me for 7 days. And so that could be the same at your business. You're in control of your schedule. Your customers don't know if you're fully booked up that week. You don't have to say we're closed. You just have to say you're booked. It's the perfect scenario. You're in control of your calendar. So
okay. But let's say we want to not be closed. We don't want to be booked. We want the business to still operate. I don't want to turn away people. I just, gosh, if I've been working for 3 years and I've been grinding, right? Like I'm grinding. That's that word everybody loves to use. I'm grinding, right? I'm grinding.
Yeah.
I like to use the word climb. Because I hope you're not just staying this way and grinding the whole time. That's no fun.
Yeah, you're chipping away.
I hope you're climbing. Climbing takes work too, but I hope you're going up. So how does somebody go up? They've got to let the people do the work. The business got to stay open,
Yeah.
They need some time off, right? So how does
Everybody needs, you got to recharge. You can't keep going full
I get it,
tilt.
but how do
Yeah.
I step away?
So,
Is there something in OrbisX
scenarios.
that helps me? I mean, how can I use
100%. Look,
technology to help me step away from my business for a second
and
to where it's not closed, but it's still open?
yeah, so there's two ways to do it. And one, I'll use a story from a guy that's in the group actually. And he actually went on a week, it was only 3 days, but he went for a weekend retreat, him and his girlfriend. They went up in the mountains somewhere, them and their dog, stayed at a little cabin. It was beautiful. No, he didn't even bring his phone, didn't even have it with him. It's just gone. Yeah, he's a detailer. He's just now moved into a shop, but he was mobile. And so how he did it is he just shifted all his appointments ahead. So for him, it was a little easier. It was only 3 days. So he just banged out all the work before. And then there were some jobs that just sat in the shop over the weekend. That was fine. Right. So he was able to recharge. Now it's just 3 days. But let's take the scenario. You want to go 7 days. There's two ways you can do it. If you have staff, you have to be grooming one of your staff to take your position. You have to. You need a succession plan, because if something happens to you, and that could be natural, like you get old, you don't want to do it anymore, but you still want to own the business, or you want to sell the business. Well, if you are the business, you can't sell
Or you
yourself.
get hurt. Or you get
I was going to
hurt.
jump to that too. Is that
Or you get hurt, right?
climbing, you're cleaning the roof on a Range Rover and you fall off, and it's show's over. What happens? So you need
somebody
to be
hits
grooming.
you. You're fucking driving down the road and somebody hits you. You got hurt. Like, that's the thing. There's so many people that don't understand how many variables come into running the business, that if I'm the only one doing everything
and it gets shut down, then what? And that's where you have to be grooming someone to take that position. And it doesn't mean they're going to take the position, but you have to train them on the things that you would do in your absence so that you can take that time off. So you can say, hey, listen, I'm gone for 7 days. You're now acting manager, period. And then you utilize tools like OrbisX to check in on your business. So the foundation for OrbisX was built for one of my other companies, because I had to manage, we had 32 employees. We had a call center. I had to manage them. I was in and out of the country. I had to keep up on them. They're doing hundreds of phone calls a day, and I got to check and see, are they doing their calls? I got to see like how many of them are closing leads. I got to get their progress reports. Okay, how many client projects are completed? That was the foundation of what is now OrbisX. It was built around that. And I know it was awesome. And we looked at solutions that were out there that just wasn't anything, built it ourselves. And it was able to allow me to step away and not physically be there. But while I was away, your business doesn't stop, and neither should you. So it's as simple as check in. You don't have to work, but you have to check in. So you have someone else doing the actual grunt work, but you check in. I do the same thing with AutoWorld. I check in. I'm not there slugging away, working the extractor and this and that. I'm not doing that. But I do other parts of the business, and one of them is checking in on the business. It just take its pulse. Is it still breathing? Does it need a little CPR? So that's what you have to do. And utilizing tools like OrbisX will help you do that.
All right. So give us a couple of things that OrbisX does to help somebody achieve that.
Okay, absolutely. So one great thing is, I call it the bird's eye view, but it's basically just a calendar. You can see everything, and you can separate it by the bays. So I can click and I can see, what's going on in the ceramic bay. I can see what's there, see what jobs are done. Everything can have a checklist associated to it, and it tells me which items are still remaining, who completed what. You can see all of that information, and you can see it. I could literally go through the whole shop in 10 minutes and see all the jobs, who completed what, everything.
So the employee, in a sense, is when he's completing stuff, he's clicking on
it off. Absolutely, yeah. And then I can even see before and after photos. So I can see okay, there's an engine detail. I can literally click to see the before and after, and I can slide it, and I can see, okay, this is what it looked like before, slide it, and then it becomes clean. If it looks good, great. If I see that there's something wrong or something like that, I can message them. I get reports as well for inventory. So if something's running low, I get reports automatically that say, we're running low on the following, rolls of tint. I call Eastman and I say, hey, listen, we need to place another order. Boom, it shows up at our door, stuff like that. These are the kinds of things that if they need, a purchasing signature, I can handle while we're away. It's not going to take me very long. OrbisX is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for me. I can check in and see how many leads Joe's closing. And if I see oh, geez, there's a bunch of missed chats, for example, I'll be like, hey, Joe, what's going on? Oh, sorry, my internet was down. I can be like, okay, great. We've funnel all the chat over to Nick, and Nick takes over for the day, so there's things that can be done like that. But that's where utilizing the tools you have can help you step away. And one of the tools you have is OrbisX, or it should be if you're not already. Jump on board. Now, the other tools you have are your employees. And if you don't have employees, then you could be grooming someone to join into your business, or maybe it's a friend that does it with you on weekends to get some extra cash. You can say, hey, listen, I really want to take my wife to Bermuda for a week. Any chance you could run the business, and I'll pay you handsomely, and you'd be surprised. So you have tools and resources available to you. You just have to look around. If you're in that situation, if you're feeling burned out and you need some time off, that's what I would do.
I would think most small business owners might be a little scared to step away.
Oh, I would say
we seem to like to control, right?
Yeah,
we love that control.
I used to love control in the business. I used to. But then I realized it was hurting. It was really holding me back. And if you you got to think, why did you get into business in the first place? If you just really love working a polisher and you want to do that all day, then have at it. You don't need a vacation, because that is your vacation. That's your goal, your passion, your what drives you. But if you do like doing other things, whatever they are, maybe you like to play competitive Frisbee, I don't know, but whatever it happens to be, you need time off for that. And to get that time off, it means you've got to relinquish some control. But you can still find control in other ways. I definitely check in daily on things.
I'm kind of sitting here just wow, imagine what that would have been like if we could have had it 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, we never did. People just don't get it, right? And now I get to be that old motherfucker that I used to laugh at when I was their age, right? Back in my day, exactly, right?
But
that's part of the cycle of life. It is what it is, it's part of growing up. These guys that are in their 20s and 30s, they'll eventually get to their 40s and 50s, and they'll go, back in my day, God damn it.
Exactly. I know.
And imagine what we could. We just didn't have that. God. You didn't have it. Why would you not use that option in OrbisX to just? Yeah. The thing that I think as I started progressing through how I could build listen, you're talking a guy that in 2002 just left a job and went and opened up a mobile detail business. I didn't have the fucking clue what I was doing, right? Not a fucking clue. Yeah. I'd never been in business before, ever. Yeah. I didn't think of it as a business. I thought of it as I could go around and clean people's cars and they'd pay me some money. I didn't know it was a business. I thought it was fucking survival.
You're I'm going to have groceries now.
Yeah. I got bills. Nobody pays me every 2 weeks. Oh, I got to go make money myself every day. Okay, let's go. Fun. Right? I never thought of having somebody else to do something for me. Yeah. It's interesting. What I love about technology and what I love about what you're doing on OrbisX is we just talked about the other day, and I think I brought it up earlier about how hard it is to hire, how hard it is to bring somebody into your business to work. This guy's finding the exact same situation. So as an owner, what you have to do is figure out what people can do for you. That's what ownership is. Every company has somebody that does something for them. If that's not an actual person, what technology? Because we didn't have technology, right? We didn't have any of this other stuff. We only had people.
It was people.
That's all you had. So how can you use technology to do work for you that 100%. You don't have to do?
Imagine when you started,
but you have to do, right?
Customers every
you
single
have
time.
to do these things.
Yeah.
But how do I do it without me having to do it?
Exactly. You got to automate as much as you can. And that's why OrbisX is huge on automation. Almost everything can be automated because it needs to be, because that's the only way your business can scale. And when I say scale, it could be that your version of scaling is you are a solopreneur, but you want to take 7 days off. Well, if you can automate a lot of your stuff, take off your workload, even just, automating things like your checklists and stuff like that, so that if you do hire a casual employee, you can take those 7 days off and do your check-in remotely. You can even do that from 3,000 miles away is phenomenal, because both you and I, when we started our businesses, we didn't have that. My goodness, if I had that, and that's where I'm like, I see, a lot of the other software companies out there are going the different direction, offering discounts and stuff like that. And I had one person recently ask, they were like, my business is a little slow. I just signed up, I want to, is there anything you can do on price to match the other softwares? I said, sorry, but actually I'm looking to go the other direction. Like this is going to be like 2.5 times this price next year. So I was like, you can jump on now or you can wait. It's up to you, really. But it's worth a lot more because I know what it's worth because of the R&D that's gone into it. And I know what it was like when I was running a business without this. And this is now like the core lifeblood of our entire business. Without it, it's like, Jesus, I look at my employees. My employees are only able to do a fraction of what OrbisX is doing, including in sales, because OrbisX sells for you as well with the artificial intelligence. If I'm going to pay one of my sales guys, $3,500 to $4,000 a month plus commission, OrbisX is easily worth 10 times that. You know what I mean? So as far as discounts, unfortunately, no, because it's worth a lot more than that,
Yeah,
and that's what
I feel for detailers, which we talked about before, detailers that got hurt and their business had to suffer and business had to close. Like I got hurt as a mobile detailer too. Fortunately, I had somebody that was working for me that could do a majority of the work, but I was gone for a while when I got hurt, right? I was trying to snowboard, do a rail slide. I'm just a guy from Oklahoma, but for some reason I'm in Colorado on a snowboard and I'm thinking I could jump up on a rail.
Like, I can do this.
I tried a couple times, kept missing, went down, came back the third time. I actually landed the rail slide I was pumped for about 1 second. That's all I remember. I remember landing it and going,
yeah.
Next thing I know, I'm on the ground and I go, oh damn, that hurt. Oh shit, that hurt.
Holy shit, no way.
I got back up and went down about 20 more feet and I go, oh fuck. And it really started, and I was like, oh, I broke my collarbone.
Oh shit, that's crazy. And then
what do you do? You're a mobile detailer.
It's not gonna happen.
Broke my collarbone.
Jesus.
Oh shit. Man. Like, right? Like
what do you do?
Before that, I had to prep everybody that I was closed for a week.
Yeah.
I had to. I was closed, right? Like my guys, they didn't use their own vehicles. I drove them. They all, right? We had company vehicle.
Okay, yeah.
So I had to prep them that we were closed.
Jesus. Yeah.
Then I break my collarbone.
Then you break your collarbone.
Fucking closed again, right? Like,
man.
Shit was much different back then.
Yeah.
Using technology that is available today, like what you guys are doing, like that's why I'm such a proponent of it. Like you gotta guys have to find the technology, whatever 100%. Can be done so that you cannot be there and the business can operate. That's
100%.
It's team members, and team members can mean personal people that are there in flesh. Team members can also mean technology.
It's true. And on that last note, I'll finish up here, is that technology too, like your products, because by eliminating complicated multi-step codings, for example, you open up the doors to more technicians that you can hire because it's not so fucking overly complicated, right? And then also by giving the customer exactly what they want, instead of forcing them down a certain path, you can train people a lot easier, streamline your process, and make more money in the end.
Curious, how the fuck do you think I knew that? Because I was a guy that had a broken collarbone that was running a mobile service going, whew, I'm glad these guys can clean this car without me. And I'm just sitting in the fucking truck and I would just go get keys because that's what we did. I mean, they cleaned everything. Fortunately, I had my business set up to where I didn't actually have to do the work. Perfect, I was there and I was collecting keys. I was driving cars, but how the fuck do you think I knew that you should have a coding that anybody can apply? Because I sat there in my business going,
to apply.
Oh shit. God damn. I can't run my business. I better have this to where guys can run it for me and I can just collect keys and make sure that the work's done right. Because I got a broken collarbone.
And part of that comes with, not having 17 different layers like an onion that, well, and then if we shrink wrap it when it's done, then and then basically just park it in your garage and don't drive it. You're good. Yeah. Lifetime coding. As long as it doesn't leave the garage, it's lifetime coding. Yeah.
Lifetime coding.
Lifetime coating.
Nobody keeps a car for a lifetime, but goddamn, we'll have a lifetime coating.
Lifetime, exactly. I know, it's so funny. Oh man, but all right, awesome. So listen, I gotta go pick up my kids. This was a great talk, though. Great chat.
Yeah, great talk.
Definitely, yeah. So takeaways from today, though, is you can make yourself recession proof. You can make yourself, able to go on vacations. You can do anything you want by investing in yourself, the right technology, the right products, the right chemicals, and the right processes to avoid those no-shows as well. I think that's the key to success.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely. Good stuff, man. Great
Definitely.
talk. Enjoy that bubbly water there, man.
Will do.
I can't wait to get my next bottle and fix my mistake with that little bottle. I really want to try that one.
Please do. Maybe next week or a couple weeks later, you can do it live. That'd be fun.
Yeah, exactly. I'll save it for then. Yeah, I'll crack it. And my luck, I'll drop it on the keyboard. But anyways, great chatting with you, Marty.
Definitely, man.
Next week. All right,
See you
later.